help me sing. All you weary strangers, raise your voice. In this chain gang chorus in our younger days, my brothers, we were naive sailors, storms we all endured. Oh, the road, all you who sing her praises of dust and bones. The places that she takes us, choice was ours. We wanted much more than our fathers, while our mothers said their prayers. Well, moving on up to the east side, finally got a piece of the pie. Baby doll, all you women of the travelers, your empty arms, your patient hearts in waiting, bless your heart, and your never-ending patience. I could not go on without you. We're all the same. All the blue and bright white collars, we're all the same. Our troubles and our sorrows, and underneath, blood and bone in mixture, though we dance to different songs, and our songs are sing along. And our songs are sing along. Every man, every woman with a burden, raise your hands. Raise them up to the firmament, see those hands. Meet your brothers and your sisters, use your hands. We are our father's sons.
Part of the Volume Podcast Network. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. Today, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Chad, how we doing?
Listen, before we came on the air, you said something that was concerning to me. Also interesting, kind of funny imagining it. But you are going on vacation in a couple of weeks. You're from England. You're going to visit your family in northern England. How are you preparing to go visit your family?
We're putting this on air. I'm preparing in many ways, but the main way is I've been drinking before going. And I'm not, Chad, not the biggest drinker. Obviously, there's other things I like more than drinking. And for this trip, though, I know I'm going to be drinking. So I have been preparing my body with, beers and a little bit of whiskey, because where I'm going is basically that's what I'm gonna be drinking. So yeah, I am getting ready to head up to Edinburgh, and basically Edinburgh has 100 bars on one street, and I'm going to be seeing around half of those, God willing, in I don't know, 3-day time. So I'm looking forward to visiting Edinburgh, the history of Edinburgh, and drinking my way down one street. Again, 100 bars on one street in Edinburgh. It doesn't even sound real.
And how did you feel for your preparations when you woke up this morning?
I did I did a puke and rally. I puked and then had a beer with eggs. So I'm telling you, Chad, I'm getting right back into it. Kegs and eggs. It's the simple man's version, just a couple beers and eggs.
How much did you drink yesterday, and when did you stop to the point that you were puking this morning?
Not a lot, like 10 beers over the course of 8 hours. So it's
Oh
nothing
my
like crazy.
God.
That's not crazy. Like Chad, I'm a big guy. Like in my prime, like the college, late high school days, I would split a 30 pack with a buddy, and we'd both kill it in 2 to 3 hours. And like again, that's 15 beers a piece in 2 to 3 hours. So 10 beers in 10 hours, I feel like that's not. I don't have a problem yet, but I told you it's different. Like in England, even my cousins who don't really drink much, my one cousin, she's probably, she's 28 now. By the time she was probably early 20s, we buy a giant pint of beer and I'm chatting with her and she finishes the entire beer when I've just taken 2 sips. Within like 2 minutes, I'm already buying her another beer. It's just a different culture over there where they put it back like water, and I don't represent Americans well at all. I am soft when it comes to drinking. I can last, but I cannot throw them back like that. So I'm just getting my body ready for what's coming.
It's kind of like I like that you're in training and you take this seriously and you're a professional in everything you do. Um, it's kind of like when we had cheesesteaks together and I crushed mine and you could barely get through yours.
It's just how I know you don't have any brothers. At no point did we mention this was a race to eat these cheesesteaks. And Chad goes, I finished mine before you. I go, what's your point? Who cares? You go, well, I ate it faster than you did. I go, was it a competition? You never mentioned it was a race, but Chad finishes, goes, look, I'm done. You're not. It's like, what is wrong with this guy?
Everything is a competition, Simon. It's always a competition. We got a fun show today because this Sunday is Father's Day, and we're going to do something brand new here on the show. We're doing our salute to fathers, who, by the way, obviously influenced us in tremendous ways that led to how we do this show, why we do this show, what we're interested in. You're going to tell some stories. Matt Mitchell is going to tell some stories. Part of me feels like this was just an excuse by Matt Mitchell to get Matt Mitchell on to the show. But at the end of the day, these are the men who molded us into the thriving titans of industry we've all become. I feel like, Matt Mitchell, I want you to kick it off because more than anyone, I feel like you've been thinking about this.
Thanks, Chad. Yeah, I for sure have been thinking about Father's Day a lot because this will be the first Father's Day since it applied to me personally that I'll be able to enjoy it, where I can be the centerpiece of the day and not my own father or my father-in-law or a sick child of some kind. It's really going to be all about me on Father's Day, and I'll be doing the thing that I want to do almost as much as I actually want to do. Obviously, number one would be something that involves no children in sight. But short of that, it'll be making my children do stuff that only I want to do, the ultimate kind of Father's Day salute.
I'm not sure what that entails. Like, you can't get them into the casino in in Milwaukee. You can't get them on the apps to start making bets for you. You can't take them to the bar where you're going to drink all day and eat wings all day. I'm not even sure what that looks like. And by the way, I'm saying this from the perspective of someone whose son graduated from high school yesterday, who walked into the house. I saw the clock at 5:24 a.m. this morning, who was still sleeping, and another son who is living in Philadelphia, his best life, away from me. So I'm barely parenting at this point. My fathering duties, I got 3 months until my kid's out of the house. I'm basically done. Father's Day is a symbol for me now.
Yeah, your fatherhood approach is the same as your managerial approach. You're barely there, but you maintained some of the title. So no, I can appreciate that. And
No, I like to
will,
think of it as I like to think of it as hiring really great people, siring really great people, giving them the general direction and vision of where I think we should collectively go as a unit, as a family unit, whether that be at work or at home. And then I like to let them make their own choices and come to me with the hard problems. As Barack Obama once said, years ago, we sponsored the Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. Action Network did. It was our first full year as a company. It was March of 2018, and we sponsored the main room at the conference. It happened to be when Barack Obama was speaking. Um, Speaking of fathers, this is a great father story. I met Barack Obama. There's like a procession line to meet him, right? There's probably about 50 of us who got to go before he went on stage and spend 30 seconds with him and get our picture taken. And I thought so much about what I was going to say before I went on stage, before I met him. And Peter Chernin, who knows Barack Obama, I was thinking about mentioning him because at the time we had just launched Action, part of the Chernin Group. I decided I wanted to go a different route. I was going to be, hey, I'm from Chicago, but I felt like that wasn't going to be sort of good enough. And so then I told him a story about how I was driving my kid, my older kid, home from something, and we were talking about where I was going to be the following day. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm meeting Barack Obama. I'm meeting President Obama. He goes, wow, that's cool. And I said to him, wow, you think I'm cool because I'm meeting Barack Obama. And he says, no. I said, it's cool that you're meeting Barack Obama. I didn't say that you're cool because you're meeting Barack Obama. So that's the story I decided to go with. And so I've got 30 seconds to convey this to Barack Obama. And he looks at me and he's got like, at this point, he's got his hand on his chin and he's sort of like finger on his lips and he's thinking, he's processing, he's, consternating. And he looks at me and he goes, so your kid is saying the transitive property does not exist here. And I go, that's what he's saying. And he looks at me, he goes, he's wrong. Let's take a picture. Grabs me by the shoulder, turns me around, big smile. It was the smoothest fucking move you've ever seen in your entire life. It was glorious. And then I went back home and I told my kid that story.
I would send you straight to Guantanamo Bay for wasting my time with that story if I was the president of the United States. So, but I'd say, hey, somebody arrest this cool cat. Hey, Snoopy with the sunglasses. Joe Cool over here, straight to Guantanamo.
Anyways, Matt, you had a story to tell.
Well, three things. One, it's a shame Brian Wilson died before he could hear somebody rhyme hires and sires. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Two,
we are the most literate
podcast,
gambling podcast.
Hiring the best and siring the best is going to absolutely haunt me. So thank you for that. Two, I do want to point out on behalf of the great state of Wisconsin, you absolutely can bring children into any bar if they're escorted by a grown-up, and they can stay as long as they like. And legally speaking, they can be served alcohol. It's the only state that is legal. It's a great state. And finally, I do want to provide a very, very belated Happy Father's Day to a great moment in sports history. 61 Father's Days ago, future Hall of Famer and U.S. Senator Jim Bunning of the Philadelphia Phillies goes into a sweltering Shea Stadium in New York with his wife and the eldest of his 7 children, and he throws the first regular season perfect game in 42 years in Major League Baseball. Here's to you, Jim Bunning. I also want to point out in true Father's Day style, it's Father's Day, he pitches a perfect game. It was the first game of a doubleheader, making these boys work a double on their own day. Unbelievable, but here's to you, Philadelphia Phillies legend, Jim Bunning.
Well done. Did you have anything else you want to say, or you want Simon to go to his story?
You know what? I'll tell one real quick to start things off, because I want to point out that my dad, who's lovely and still with us and who I love dearly, I got my dad into sports, not the other way around. My dad hated sports, he's one of those guys, just had no interest in sports at all. The only thing he hated more was gambling. That did not work on me anyway. So sorry, Dad. But when I was a kid and I realized my dad wasn't like built to be a fan, was when I started playing sports. And he would just get so consumed by anxiety if a game was close that he couldn't stand it. It would feel like he was getting squeezed to death. So when I started playing basketball as a middle schooler, I was total dog shit. The teams were total dog shit. I was tall, but I was totally useless. And we'd lose every game. But if it was ever close, I'd look over into the stands in the gym or whatever, and my dad would be getting up to leave. He would just extricate himself from the situation. And our home gym had a door at one end that led to like the school kitchen, and had a little window in it. But he would just leave. If it was close, he would just bounce and go pace around in the dark in this kitchen. But he could still see the scoreboard from that little window, so he'd know when the game kind of was wrapping up. And one game, it was really close late, which was unusual for us, and I get fouled, and I have a chance to tie the game late. And I was really nervous because, again, I wasn't very good. And I look over, and my dad's obviously gone. And I'm like sad because, like, oh, this could be my big moment. My dad's not going to see it. That's too bad. And I'm lining up to shoot the free throws. And I look over, and I see my dad's head pop into that little window in the door. And I felt such an incredible wave of relief that, like, there's my old man. He's going to see me. I'm here. I was so relaxed. And because of that, I was able to absolutely brick the shit out of both of those free throws in humiliating fashion. And we lost the game by 2 points. So
if that story had ended earnestly with you making the free throws, I would have been so incredibly disappointed.
Oh, yeah. I could have shot fucking 25 free throws. There was no way I was making 2 of those in that scenario.
Simon, please share with us a story about your loving father who Matt Mitchell and I adore, who's our biggest supporter, who shows up and shows out at all of our live events, who I text with independent of you. Just a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah, great man. Yeah, he's a great man and very lucky. I knew at a young age how good of a man my dad was, where it's just, it is like you go and you spend time with your friends or just see how their family dynamic works. And I'm just like, holy shit, I didn't realize how good I got it, right? There's just some dads who are just assholes or they're not involved in their kids' lives. And, my dad, every sporting events I had, he was there. And, he coached me in soccer from 4th grade to 8th grade, travel soccer. So, like, before I was really into football, being a little British boy, my dad coached. And, just a story popped in my head is my dad, when he coached me, he would yell at me talking about other players because you couldn't yell. People didn't want their kids yelled at by a coach. So you just hear him yelling at me, but it'd be really talking about other guys on the team. I thought that was always really funny. Just always yelling, Simon, get to the ball, like, get running. And he'd be talking about other people, obviously, because I was mental, especially back then. I was all over the place. But yeah, my funny stories with my dad are always me just pissing him off. Like, I really love to poke the bear, especially as a young kid. I just got great joy out of getting my dad riled up because you met him. My dad's such a nice, friendly guy. But if you got him, like, especially me, I knew what ticked him. You get him going, he gets going. And my favorite one was, I used to call him Cookie Jr., which is the most random nickname ever. But every little thing he would do, I would say, okay, Cookie Jr. And I'll never forget, there was one piece of bread left or something like this on the dinner table. And he goes to grab it, and I go, too slow, Cookie Jr. And I grabbed it. No. And he goes, stop calling me Cookie Jr., like, lost his shit. And obviously that only makes it more funny, someone getting upset being called Cookie Jr. So That nickname, from sixth grade I would say eighth grade, I really hammered calling him Cookie Jr., which gradually I just started calling him Tom, which again, in England culture, calling your parents by their first name is very sacrilege. So I'll never forget the first time we go back home and I'd calling him Tom. I say Tom in front of my like cousins, my family over there. It was like a screeching halt to the record player. Like everyone just stopped talking. What you say? You call him by his first name? Like they gave my dad a look of like, are you gonna smack this kid? And like they didn't realize like my dad, again, good man, he didn't care. I can call him Tom.
Wow.
So that's another just funny memory. But yeah,
He's a big guy too.
yeah, especially again back then, obviously I wasn't 6'2", 6'3" then. So like, my dad to me looked 7 feet tall. You remember when you were a kid, everyone's so big. Even now, my dad's way past his prime. I still like, I'm around him. I'm like, this guy could still probably kick my ass. Just the old man strength. It's not gone yet. So yeah, my dad, man, he's a great man. People that are fans of the show, they've met my dad. He loved coming up to our North Jersey shows. He's been to our Philly shows. So yeah, great supporter of my life is my father for sure.
You could put the Millmans inside Simon's family like little nesting dolls.
Yeah,
We
we're
are
giant
Lilliputians compared to Simon
giant.
and his dad.
That's what British people are. That we're huge. We're giant like Vikings. You know what I mean? It's our ancestors are big, big, big people. So yeah, I would say, well, my mom is. What do you think, Chad? My mom's 5'10", 5'9",
Yeah, but
and then
she's
my dad,
rail
yeah, he
thin.
was probably 6'2". So yeah, I mean, you met my brother. My brother's probably 6'4". Definitely a very tall family.
Your dad has an elite 90s dad vibe, which I can only aspire to. I don't have my wrists aren't thick enough to achieve 90s dad peak, but like huge guy like you, big ass head like you, and shaking hands with him is like grabbing a bunch of bananas like you. So like, yeah, he's got it all as far as I'm concerned from dad's strength. He's like a spring that's pushed down. You know that he could, spring out at any moment if you call him. I can't wait to never call him Cookie Jr. I'll tell you that.
Do
And
you
he's very.
feel good?
I would say he's very like man's man. So he literally hit the jackpot. He had 3 sons. My mom, God bless her, is the most girly girl ever. Just dying to have a daughter. Couldn't have anyone further away from. Like I
Yeah.
have zero fashion sense. Same with my brothers. That woman loves shopping. So my dad basically doesn't drink, never smoked, like doesn't do drugs, none of that stuff. His vice was sports, like watching us play sports growing up. So like even thinking back, I would play stupid ass street hockey, like a little street hockey league. It'd be like sleeting 30 degrees out. And I would just see him in his trench coat behind the net watching the game. And it's just like that man went to everything I played. So yeah, once again, very lucky. And it's one of those things you get older, you kind of get it where it's like, I didn't get it as a kid. Like half the time I didn't want to be out there. It's like, why the fuck am I out here playing? And this man would be there in the freezing cold, always watching. And when you get older, it's like, oh, those are great days, man. Watching your kids, especially if your kids are good at sports. People tell me all the time, it's like the best, enjoyment ever if you love sports and your kids have somewhat semi-talented at those said sports. So yeah, my dad was very lucky. My oldest brother played varsity soccer. My middle brother played rugby, and I played all the sports. I loved sports growing up. So yeah, he got it all. And then unfortunately, I think only one of us played in college. My oldest brother played soccer. So it pretty much ended after high school for my dad with sports.
Matt, it's interesting to me that your dad was not into sports because my dad was not into sports at all, but he understood how much I loved sports and like was crazy supportive of it in ways that translated to me with my kid because my dad like took me to the St. Louis Cardinals Kansas City Royals World Series because my grandmother who lived in St. Louis got tickets. He didn't give a shit about that. My first job at Pro Football Weekly, I was an intern literally filing old clips into folders so they had access to all of them. And I would plan to do a lot of the filing when they were having their big editorial meeting inside the editor-in-chief's office and the file cabinets were outside the office. So I would go to the filing there and I could hear what they were planning to see like what they were doing and if there was anything I could do. And they were planning out the issue that was going to cover the Hall of Fame inductions. And when the meeting ended, I told one of the editors, hey, you know, I'm going away to the Hall of Fame with my dad on a father son trip in Canton. If you guys need a story from the Hall of Fame, I'm happy to do it. And so they assigned me the story, except I wasn't going to the Hall of Fame. My dad and I weren't going away together that weekend. And so I went home and told my dad, I'm like, so good news. I got this assignment. I'm so excited about it. Um, I kind of need you to take me and pay for the trip at the Hall of Fame because I was 18 years old at the time and couldn't like really get there myself. The guy did it. The guy did it. He did it when like every summer job, when you work in media, you don't get paid. So over the summer, like you can either get the experience in media or you can get a job working somewhere like at the shoe store or the pharmacy and get paid. Always understood I was driven about sports and wanted to do it. Always paid for it. Cut to, you know, 20 years later, I've got a kid, my older son, not into sports at all. Loves Magic the Gathering, loves Dungeons and Dragons, doesn't want to do after school sports. This is what he wants to do. And all of a sudden, my wife and I are driving around every weekend to different tournaments, different events, all these things. And we're both starting to complain about it a little bit because it's not like the mainstream sports thing. And then my wife looks at me one day and goes, "Oh my God, this is his soccer. Like we have to do it, even though there's nothing sanctioned and it's not official, because it's no different than if we spent every weekend going to fucking Freehold, New Jersey for lacrosse tournaments."
That's right. Father of the Year stuff. Also, Canton's like 400 miles away from your house. And he was just like, regulators, mount up. I'm in.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Like, good for
we
him.
went. We totally just went. Didn't even question it. I think I did the story about Franco Harris.
Hmm.
Good days. Good
Yeah.
days, good
Incredible.
Yeah.
dads.
Yeah, right. Good dad. I was gonna say that I'll do one gambling story because this is like to me the biggest one that changed my life in many ways. Where it's my earliest memory of sports betting. So it's Super Bowl in 2000, I believe. So it's the Titans Rams, and again, I knew nothing about sports betting. Never seen it before. Never heard about it. And my dad said to me, "My brother, do you guys want to pick a side for this game?" And there's a spread, so everyone knew the Rams were the better team, and I was a big Steve McNair fan. So my brother was like, "Yeah, I like the Rams," and I said, "Well, I'll take Steve McNair. Like I love the Titans." And my dad said, "Well, there's a spread, so you get 7.5 points to start the game." And again, as a little kid, I could not wrap my head around it. Where it's like, so I'm already up a touchdown and a half. I couldn't get it. So again, if anyone remembers that game, it's I think 23-17. Again, I have the Titans. They get tackled at the 1 by the Rams. My brother starts going absolutely crazy, and my dad basically pulled the not so fast Lee Corso. Said Simon here won the bet. The spread was 7.5, and gave me the $1. And the rest is history, Chad. I literally got the itch from that day forward. And even I remember being, in middle school and the Lakers and the Sixers in the finals. I made a bet with a buddy who was a diehard. This is how big of a scumbag I was. He was a diehard Sixers fan. Sixers win game 1. I said, all right, if I'm right and the Lakers win this series, you buy me cookies every day for the rest of the week. Again, living the dream at that age. And yeah, just little things like that. That's how I got into sports betting. And again, like we are talking about with Chad, very supportive parents. Like I told my parents I was going to work in TV. They supported. I told them that I was going to be a sports bettor, runner, and working, a weird life, supportive. It's been very, very lucky. And obviously, that's what it kind of, I feel like Chad's in the same spot here where it's like, our parents who love us and support us, it is a really big blessing in life. And I obviously know how fortunate I've been in life to have that.
Matt Mitchell told his dad, "I'm going to grow a mustache when Corinne
That's right.
goes away. I'm going to leave for 10 days. I'm going to grow a mustache." And he goes, "Son, I'm not really thinking that's a great idea, but it's your life. I want you to make your choices. It's your body. You do what you think is best."
Oh my God, that just reminded me of a story he'd actually love. Coming back from the University of Missouri, the alma mater of Mike Jones, who made that year 2000 Super Bowl tackle to clinch
That's
it for the
right.
Rams. Go Mike Jones. Coming back from college, my dad had booked me a flight to come back from Columbia to Rochester, a terrible kind of situation to try to figure out. So I'd fly St. Louis to, and have a layover or whatever. But this one, he's like, hey, remember this flight, you actually have to go to baggage. I booked it on 2 airlines. That's 2 one-way tickets. So you have to go get your bag, bring it over, and then check back in for this other flight. Okay, this is an unusual situation. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. I obviously forget all about that and leave my luggage in a, at wherever, like BWI, whatever fucking layover I had, and get home and there's no bag. I had also grown because I was 19 or whatever. I grew like a little goatee soul patch situation and looked embarrassingly bad, which made him real mad. But I thought it was a hoot that he hated it. And when I told him I missed that bag, he was like, I'm gonna have to call the airline. I got to get this bag on its own flight. He was like, God damn it. And I remember being like, I'll be right back. And going into the bathroom and shaving it off. And his anger going down by like 90% because he knew I was trying to meet him halfway. And that was, I remember his face being like, all right, at least I don't have to help out a guy who looks like a complete asshole. So that was a lot of fun.
I do feel like the signs of a good dad are they are angriest about the stupidest stuff and least angry about the big stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
Like when I get into college my senior year, me and my closest friend we were at like another buddy's house, and this was the house where this was the drinking guy's house, right? There was a group of us who were like not big drinkers and a group that were big drinkers, and like we thought they were cool and they were like practiced drinkers, right? And so he broke out the Jack Daniels, and me and my buddy each did like an unhealthy, dangerous amount of shots in a very short amount of time, to the point where when we ended up at the local Denny's that night, where we always ended up, where half of my high school ended up, I puked all over the table to bring it back around to the beginning, right? They had to drag me out. They take me to my house. And as you guys know, I have to wear very specific contact lenses that require a plunger to be removed because I have a degenerative eye disease. Okay. So my friends have me sitting upright in the bathroom on like the toilet that is, the seat is down. They're trying to get my contacts out with the plunger, except they keep missing and they're pulling my eye. Like you can see it, right? So then they let go of me and I fall face forward. My head hits the porcelain sink. They can't get the contact lenses out. And I've got puke all over my pants. And so they get me into my bedroom and they're standing around me in a circle and they're trying to get my pants off, and I won't do it. And I keep yelling, I'm not taking my pants off until you take your pants off. And when they're standing around me, about 7, 8, 9 dudes with their pants off in a circle, me in the center with my pants off, that's when my parents get home. And my mom looks at my dad and she goes, I think this is on you. Everybody leaves. My dad gets me in bed. I'm puking until about 4 a.m. in by the way, Simon, my Philadelphia 76ers garbage can. My dad is sitting with me the entire night. I finally pass out, except I have the 7 a.m. shift at Parkway Drugs Pharmacy in Glencoe the next day. It's a Saturday. About 6:40, my dad gets me up, drives me, because I'm still a little bit out of it, drives me to the pharmacy. He's like, if you're going to go out, you're still going to have to go to work. And I did that shift for about 5 hours until the pharmacist sent me home. And he's like, you're of no use to me. But I did also once see my dad while he was driving to work, driving me downtown. He was going to work. I had to go to an appointment. Pulled over to the side of the road, didn't even step out of the car, puked, leaned over. He wasn't feeling well, puked, got back in the car, drove downtown, and went back to work.
Now that's real dad behavior.
Baller.
That's silverback dad behavior.
Yeah, that's silverback dad strength.
I like the idea of your dad coming home to that scene and right away being like, "Well, I better get these pants off. Gotta fit in. Gotta fit in. Let's get these pants off so we can talk some sense into my son."
Yeah.
Incredible. I do want to share that speaking of just getting into whatever your kids are getting into, my dad did eventually become a big sports fan. I was able to drag him into becoming a fan. One of the ways I did that was becoming just a massive Buffalo Bills fan growing up in Rochester, until he eventually was like, well, shit, as long as he's super into it, I'm going to get super into it. But the NFL had blackout restrictions from 1973 to 2014, where if a game didn't sell out, it was blacked out within 75 miles of the stadium. That really impacted Buffalo a lot. One, because it was an economically depressed area that wasn't particularly packed with people. They had the second or third largest stadium in terms of number of seats they'd have to sell for a long time. And then they changed a bunch of the rules, and it was pretty dreadful. So we had three choices. We could listen to the game and the immortal Van Miller on the radio, which was great because of the timeless and evocative nature of audio, which definitely gave me a love affair with the radio. Or for a little while, there was a loophole where some bars had satellite feeds. So there was a couple bars across town that you could go and get like essentially an illegal stream of the game and watch it. But it was hard to my dad it's not going to go and have, 15 Labatt Blues with his fucking son and then drive him home. So it was hard to find a reason to take a tween to a bar and kill all that time. But he would do it. And then the third option was, which he would do quite often if I really wanted to go, he'd drive me in like an hour plus across the county line. He'd drive due east into Wayne County until we crossed over into the area of the Syracuse affiliates, which would then play it. But there's so much nothing in between that he would just go up to one of these shitty roadside like motels, pull out, talk to the guy in the front, and basically convince him that him and this teen are trying to watch the Bills game. Can we just get the hotel room for 3.5 hours? And those guys didn't ask a lot of questions. And we would go in and we'd watch the game on top of the duvet, and we'd bring in like a picnic. We'd eat the food, watch the game, and then drive home. And during one of those games, I'll never forget it, September 21st, 1997, the Bills are down 26-0 in the first half to Jim Harbaugh's Indianapolis Colts. And it was notable because it was, to me, it was the first game that Jim Kelly, who just retired, was going to go back to Buffalo as an announcer for NBC. And looking at him and being like, this guy is so fucking old and used up. This is like the oldest guy I've ever seen on TV. Jim Kelly was 37 years old at the time.
Oh my God.
So it's like really, I'm like so much older than he was at the time. So there was that. The Bills come all the way back and they win this game, the third largest regular season comeback in NFL history. Game absolutely ruled. Then we smoothed out the duvets and swept all the crumbs away and checked out, and he drove all the way home just so I could make sure that, I would catch all these games. Incredible behavior. Like I couldn't, it's hard for me to imagine doing that for my own son now, or some similar effort, but it's just the stuff you do for your kids. It was incredible.
That is great dadding. It's fun to tell all those dad stories to all the dads, to the people with dads, to anyone who looks up to anyone as a dad, or is looked up to as a dad. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Simon and I will return with our next episode of The Favorites Tuesday on the Action Network YouTube page. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe, leave us 5 stars, say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until next time, call your dads. Love you.
Help me sing, all you